Hi, Chuck Hawley with a West Marine 2-minute buyer's guide on visual distress signals. Visual distress signals are used to attract attention to your boat when you're in some trouble, and they're a non-electronic way of getting attention. Let's look at some of the attributes of visual distress signals and find out which is right for your boating application. The first question is, who's required to have visual distress signals? Well, it's a little bit complicated, but bear with me. So vessels over 16 feet operating in coastal waters or in the Great Lakes or in sort of large bays are required to carry either 3 day signals if they're operating during the day, or 3 night signals if they're operating at night, or there are a couple of other options. Easiest way to do this is to carry a combination of day-night signals. So what's the difference between a day and a night signal? Well, a day signal is something like these smoke flares, or this smoke flare, or this orange flag that needs visible light in order to be seen. Night signals are generally self-igniting, like hand flares, or aerial flares, or possibly an SOS distress light. There are 2 primary functions of visual distress signals. One is to use a high altitude, short duration flare to get attention, to say, hey, I'm in trouble. These can be seen frequently at many miles. The other function is to give a long duration, low altitude signal, like these hand flares, that allows somebody to home in on you as they're coming over the horizon. Both alert and locate flares are important to carry on your boat. There are 2 general specifications of flares used in the U.S. There's the Coast Guard approved flare, which is designed to meet a minimum specification, generally for inland and coastal boaters. Then there's also the Solis grade. Solis grade flares last longer, are quite a bit brighter, and are frequently more waterproof. So if you're going far offshore or possibly going across the Great Lakes, you may want to consider the incremental performance of Solis grade flares. Finally, let's make sure we're clear on how many flares you need. If you operate your boat during the day, you need to have 3 day flares. If you operate at night, you have to have 3 nighttime flares. Many of these flares, except for the smoke flares, work both for day and night. So the minimum requirement would be 3 day and night flares. While the Coast Guard only requires you to have a very small number of visual distress signals, we think it's a good idea to carry extras. Remember, visual distress signals have to be replaced within 42 months of the date of manufacture. So if you need new visual distress signals or flares, drop by any of the 300 West Marine stores around the country or shop online at westmarine.com.